Hello, my name is Cynthia and I'm going to tell you a story called A Dirty, Filthy Cabin. It is October 1900 in Palmerston, Ontario, and I'm standing in front of a wooden cabin in the middle of a 50-acre field 40 miles outside of town. The ground is soggy, wet, and muddy as it's been raining hard all day. Today I have been sent by the town of Palmerston to investigate the cabin in preparation for demolition. No history or record exists about who built it or when. The town people just say it's always been here, in the middle of this field, for as long as anyone can remember. But nobody knows anything about it. Oh, children come by and explore every once in a while, even though they've been told to stay away. But nothing of interest has ever been found. Looking at this desolate funereal cabin, I notice it's slightly lopsided and leaning to the right. I approach the cabin and see the door barely holding on to its hinges. It's slightly ajar. With some trepidation, I step inside. What first hits me is a musty, moldy, damp smell. If I touched the walls, they would feel almost spongy, loose enough to make me wonder if they're going to fall down on top of me. Rain leaks through the cracks. Looking down, I see a very dingy, grimy floor, almost too slippery to walk on. The roof is partially collapsed on one side. My initial feeling and only feeling is repulsion. I look around the small square room and see a wooden bed without a mattress. Over there, a small bathroom missing a door, and a small kitchen on one side, consisting of a sink and hot plate. Did somebody actually live here? How long ago? Who was it? Could anyone possibly be living here now? They couldn't, could they? I don't notice anyone until, over in the far corner by the window, I see an old lady sitting bent over on a straight back wooden chair. Shocked and startled, I discover her and I call, "Hello?" I stare at her for several minutes, not moving, hoping maybe she'll say hello or who's there or something. No response. Dreading what I might see, I walk slowly over to her. She isn't breathing. "Who are you or were you?" I ask, looking at her stiff, cold body. "How long have you been dead? How long have you lived here all alone? What's your name? Do you have any relatives? Does anyone in Palmerston know you?" Looking at her, I feel so very sad for this poor lady living like this all alone. I promise I will find out who she is. She at least deserves that. The next day, her body is removed from the cabin. Soon after, the cabin collapses, revealing its contents. $150,000 is hidden beneath the floorboards. I will discover who she was. I will find the answers to the questions that died with her, just like she was my own long-lost mother. An autopsy was done 2 days later, and her body remained in the morgue while I worked to keep my promises to her. The coroner said she died both of dehydration and malnutrition, and had been dead for about 3 weeks. I placed an article in the local newspaper asking for anyone who knew her to come forward. For a whole week, nobody did. Then 1 week later, a man walked in saying his name was Thomas Wakefield, walked into my office and said the lady's name was Meredith Turcott. "I went to school with her when we lived in town," he said. "I didn't keep in touch with her when school ended. The story I heard was that she married a man who lived in Cloverdale, a town 60 miles from here. Turns out, so the story goes, that he mistreated her, and she left him. She must have come upon this deserted cabin and decided to hide him from him there. I never heard there were any children. Regarding the money, my guess is that she stole the money from her husband and hid it in the cabin. Maybe she was too afraid to spend it so as not to draw attention to herself. Well, it wouldn't have done her much good anyway. The chief of police said the money is counterfeit, which explains why her husband never tried to find her. Such a sad story. She must have had family growing up. Are there any relatives left? As far as I can remember, she just had a mother, and I'm quite sure she died several years ago. Turcotte was her married name. Her maiden name was Ferguson. Anyway, that's all I know. Thank you for coming to tell me her story. I had almost given up. To keep my promise to her, to keep my promise to her one more time, I bought a plot of land under a maple tree in the town cemetery for her. The name of the headstone is Meredith Ferguson, forever at peace.